Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name's Alex Peck. I'm a new member of GYOPO, part of the programs committee. Welcome to our spring GYOPO program. We're so happy to be in person again to celebrate and dig into the work of some incredible authors. This program has been a few years in the making, so I'd love to thank everyone on GYOPO's various committees for committing so much time and effort to make this happen. GYOPO is a volunteer-run organization, and it's through the generosity and talents and skills of our community members that we are able to offer free public programs like these. Don't hesitate to get in touch with us if you'd like to participate. Like I said, I myself am a new program committee volunteer, so you too could be thrown on a stage reading a script if you'd like very quickly. We recently announced an exciting GYOPO open call, which is essentially a grant for folks who are passionate about turning a program idea into a real event with GYOPO's financial and administrative support. There are many other things happening with GYOPO as well, including a deaf reading group on Teresa Hakyung Cha's dictate, which was born out of our marathon reading last December, summer programs. So stay in touch with us through our newsletter and Instagram. We ask that you fill out a survey if you can before you leave. There's some surveys over there at the merch table, so we can continue improving what we do. Thank you to our funders, Cal Humanities, KACFSF, the GYOPO Board of Directors, and donors who have also helped to make this program possible. So, although the title of this program is Korean American Young Adult Fiction Today, we actually have two wonderful authors who are not Korean American joining us. Sarah Suk has traveled here from Vancouver, Canada. She is the author of Made in Korea and recently worked on Troublemaker by John Cho, which was released just a couple weeks ago. Her next book, The Space Between Here and Now, will be published fall of next year, so keep an eye out for that. We're also extremely fortunate to have Nicola Yoon here. She is the New York Times best-selling author of Instruction for Dancing. Everything, Everything. The Sun is Also a Star, both of which have been made into major motion pictures, and a co-author of Blackout, the first Black woman to hit #1 on the New York Times Young Adult Bestseller list. She, along with David Yoon, are co-publishers of Joy Revolution, a Random House young adult imprint dedicated to love stories starring people of color. She grew up in Jamaica and Brooklyn and lives here in LA with David Yoon and their daughter. David is also a New York Times bestselling author. Some of his titles are Frankly in Love, Super Fake Love Song, and for adult readers, Version Zero and City of Orange. In addition to Joy Revolution, he's also a co-founder of Universe Media. David grew up in Orange County, California, and is a Southern California local. Last but certainly not least, we are honored to have the attendance of Mary H.K. Choi, a New York Times best-selling author who has written Emergency Contact, Permanent Record, and most recently, Yolk. She is the host of two podcasts, Hey Cool Job and Hey Cool Life. Her writing has also been featured in The Atlantic, The New York Times, and GQ magazine. She lives in Brooklyn, New York. And before we begin our panel discussion, I'd like to also introduce our moderator. Amy Kahng is an independent curator and art historian based between New York and LA. She researches Asian American artists and their relationship to land and landscape, as well as global contemporary art, feminist art, and critical theory around race and indigeneity. Amy is a PhD candidate in art history and criticism at Stony Brook University. So please help me welcome all of our wonderful authors. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Alex, for those wonderful introductions. And thank you all so much for joining us today. This is, for many of us, like one of our first in-person events in a really long time. It's so wonderful to see everyone's faces, to see all your faces in real life, to be in this really gorgeous, amazing space. Yeah, so I guess, we can get started. We're going to just get into some conversation. We'll have a little bit of a quick Q&A afterwards, and then after that, we'll be splitting up into some smaller groups to get even closer interaction with our wonderful authors. So yeah, so since this is our first time, getting together, seeing each other in person after a really long couple of years, I guess I just want to get started and see, how are you guys all doing? How has it been?
I'm super thrilled to be here. Oh my God. This is my first event in 2 years. Everything else has been on Zoom. And you know how those go. It's like, well, thanks for coming, bye, and then you quit Zoom. So this is way better. It's so nice to see everybody. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, this is my first event ever, so I definitely feel quite nervous, but so happy and excited to. I feel very lucky that I get to call this my first event ever because look how beautiful everything is. So I'm just very grateful to be here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thrilled to be out of my house. And thank you guys all so much for coming. To answer the question of how we've all been for 2 years, I don't know, shell shocked? Just like, I can't even believe that it's been 2 years since we, could be in the world.
Yeah, one day we'll map out all the phases.
Yeah.
It's like anger, disappointment, denial.
Right, the
Then
singing happy
bargaining.
birthday while you wash your hands phase.
I remember that. Yeah.
Tragic, but now we're so thrilled to be entering the world again and just seeing people. Like, I'm just going out to dinner every day and not cooking it myself. Like, not cooking is how I am doing.
I'm good. I'm here from New York, and it has been a really weird time. My Yolk came out during pandemic, and as David was saying, it's like there's nothing quite like Zoom promo. Like you're just staring at your own face. Yeah, totally. And you're like, am I that asymmetrical? Has no one told me? And then it's like over. So like, I'm glad to be interfacing with IRL humans on this wonderful day around sirens and but like with this wonderful cross breeze. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Yeah, I do miss the whole like how Zoom can clear your skin a little bit. Yeah, but it's nice to see your
Everyone's so high def, like ultra 4K, 8K.
No one should be seen that close up. It's tough.
And we've gotten pretty good at the mental calculation. The risk calculation we need to make when we go to these kinds of things. Like everyone's vaccinated, we're all masked up, we're all fairly educated. So I'm like, sweet, I feel really comfortable right now. It's nice.
Great. Well, if we want to get talking about your books a little bit, I was wondering if you wanted to speak a little bit about kind of your character development in your stories. A lot of you write about characters that are kind of close to your identity, maybe pulling from your own personal experience. If you could speak on that, and feel free to talk to each other too. Speak over each other, be comfortable.
I'm gonna back up my seat
Yeah, so we can see.
so we can see each other.
Yeah.
A little more round table-y.
Yeah, more round table.
Round table-y, like the pizza.
God, you gotta let it go with round table. It's the worst pizza.
It is terrible. It's
He
disgusting.
loves it. He loves it so much. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Wait, what is that an American thing? I don't
Yeah,
know what
yeah.
that
And
is.
think
their whole
it's a
thing was like pizza on a
California thing.
conveyor belt,
Oh.
which was like,
It's
wow,
disgusting. I cannot communicate to you how bad
pretty
it is.
terrible.
But sorry, this is not character
Character
development.
development. So, did you know that as recently as like 6 or 7 years ago, it was really hard. It was really scary for authors like us to write stories starring characters who looked like us. It was like it was a thing that we had to talk about and be like, will we lose sales? If we make a character who looks like us.
And even the covers of books for a long time, you could not put characters of color because the thinking was that no one will pick up the book because they will feel like vegetables somehow. Like this book is a book about issues and like really tough things, and therefore you're like sort of trying to sell vegetables to children, right? Basically, and so it's fairly recent that we've been able to write books with people that look like us, as David said.
Totally. I mean, there's also an additional sort of aspect to it. Like, I very much am the recipient, I'm sure I'm not the only one, of just this like generalized interest in Korea and like, all of sort of like the Hallyu wave, like, K-beauty, K-drama, like BTS, all of that. But it is really kind of erasing on a certain extent too, because that is such like a mainland Korea import, and to me that doesn't necessarily speak to my experience as someone who is like very far from the mothership, kind of like hurtling through space in a country called America for some reason. And so I think that being able to really speak to like cultural specificity, not just like the boilerplate of like I'm so left out and my lunch smells, but like just like larger, subtle, nuanced issues, and that's been really gratifying. And to be honest, I came into the industry about like 5 years ago at this point, and I very much just had the incredible luck and grace afforded to me to like stand on the shoulders of people who were publishing before me, because like, you know, people are like, what was it like? And I'm like, I don't know. I've only heard and benefited from. So thanks, guys.
I mean, talk to Jenny Han, you know?
Yeah, I
Jenny
mean,
Han's been through it.
Yes, she has.
Yeah, I think that in regards to the whole topic around like, you know, books by people of color or like issue books, I think that in terms of character development, like I really wanted my Korean characters to just have a great time, and I think that's something that was really important to me. So my debut novel was a rom-com, and I just wanted to write about them going to high school and falling in love. And in this particular book, they sell Korean beauty products at school. So there's obviously elements of their culture woven in, and I think that that's the thing. It's just for us, it's just woven into our lives. It's our everyday life. It's not like this issue that we have to set aside and talk about. It's just life, and it's integrated with everything, like the joy of being human and being a teen and, you know, falling in love and making a profit. So I think it's all together. So I really wanted to convey that when I was making my
I
characters.
mean, that's literally our mission for Joy Revolution books, is because we hold it to the Harold and Kumar standard. It's like these dudes who just want to party and get burgers, you know? That was our
So
college experience.
Harold and Kumar, like he's teasing, but it was wildly influential for us.
for all of us,
yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think.
It's
Yeah.
a lodestone.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so we have this imprint called Joy Revolution, and it's stories by people of color about people of color, right? And it's joyful stories. It's called Joy Revolution for a reason, because every time we talk about people who are Korean American or Asian American or Black, a lot of the times those stories are pain-filled stories, right? And it's like a lesson to teach someone else. Well, I don't wake up every morning thinking about the struggle, right? No one does that. Like, you just don't wake up like that, right? Like, I have our beautiful little girls right here. Usually she wants breakfast, right?
Everybody look at her.
And then I got David, who I adore. Like, life is really good. So most people don't wake up thinking about the struggle. We have these full, rich lives. And, you know, people of color fall in love all the time. Like, I fell in love every day in high school, right? And it's like, it's so obvious a thing, but it's so strange that we have to say it. But it's true.
And
right?
to be honest, it's a revolutionary concept. That's why we call it Joy Revolution. Because when you talk to like a mainstream white audience, they're looking for the foreign kind of. They don't understand that K-pop is foreign, and that Korea is foreign, and we are Americans, and that's a very difficult concept for a lot of people to understand. And so, in terms of character development, there is a little. I find there's a little bit of explaining to do there, where yeah, I'm a person, and I do the usual writer things. This character is me on my best day. This character is me on my worst day. This character is all my best friends combined. You know, this character is a character I read about somewhere else and decided to something. But when you have a POC character who is blank / American, you have a little explaining to do. At least I think so, because there's that gap in the concept of a human being in this country, where if you are Asian presenting, you are immediately foreign, and that's a speed bump that I always find myself trying to overcome.
I mean, actually, can you hear us? Because I can't hear myself, but okay, just checking. So I have kind of the same take. Like, it is this. Did everybody see Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Not yet.
Okay, well, it's phenomenal. And there's something about it that is just so joyful. It is silly, it is freewheeling, it is zany, and it's so abundant. And there's something about a movie that is centered around Asianness, but without it being all about competency, where it's like actually a lot of people dithering and doing a very bad job of like living their lives. And so like in my work, there's some joy. I mean, like, I think I err on the side of like being like, is there joy though? And so like there are like things like eating disorder, huge debt, stress, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, cancer, like sexual trauma. Like all of these things are in my books because these two are so universal. And I do think that there is the schism that David was speaking of, where it's just like, well, is this me? Is it not? And so, like, to me, like, when I wrote Yolk, there's something about cancer. It's as, like, ubiquitous a C as, like, the Chanel logo. Everyone's just like, I understand that it's touched my life in these ways. And with that, like, for me, that thing is the sort of, like, portal or the throughway by which people can find compassion and people can find, like, genuine sort of, like, identification. And so it is almost this thing where it's like there is a point, I believe, in my character development where I'm like, okay, the Asianness has now become incidental. And that is actually a really different situation when you come at it from like the leading place and then sort of like letting it sort of really organically just sort of like vaporize. And that too is like a thing that I think is like a big lift, but something that's really important.
Yeah, totally, totally. My high school, there was one of my friends in high school was a French Korean who moved to Southern California, and he was a football jock, and he was dating like this Japanese American cheerleader who was like the prettiest girl at school, and he had a thick French accent, and he was just a weird dude, and he was a weird dude first, and then I thought of him as French second, and as a jock third, and his Koreanness was kind of way down here. Like I didn't think about it, and that's my mental hierarchy of identity, and that it's a tough thing to convey,
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a primacy. I think that's what David's talking about too, where the hyphen is always Korean / American or whatever / American. In like any country in Africa, I am an American girl.
There are no black people in Africa,
Right,
by
like
the way.
yeah. I mean, I remember hearing that quote. There are no black people in Africa because people in Africa don't think of themselves as black, right? It's like fish in the water. Like they don't know the water is there, right? Like that's such an American thing. Like that construct and that identification. It's like I think of myself as Nikki. That's it, right? Like everyone else says these things. Um,
And it's kind of weird because like the thing that's also happened in the past few years where you've got like crazy rich Asians, you've got like, like all of these different sort of things, like that too is otherizing in the same sense as like, American nerds and things like that. It's also a type of like this like taxonomizing and categorizing that happens here that's like so bizarre. And like, it's like what we're all saying. It's like, at no point when I'm like hanging out with friends and sitting down to eat a meal am I just like, like I'm just Asianing around with my Asians and like having some like Asian comestibles and my Asianness, and like with my Asian enzymes. And it's like, like make no mistake. I mean, kimchi and probiotics for the microbiome is very good, but like, it's you don't think about yourself like that. And it's just America that's constantly holding this mirror being like, confront this aspect of yourself. And I'm like, nah, though. And then they're like, no, but it's flattering. It's basically got a filter. You're all rich and really amazing. Like you're hot now. And I'm like, that too is like so weird. Please stop doing that. Like America thinking that like it's doing me a favor because everyone's a Korea boo is also the most bananas place to live.
I love being a model minority, though. It's great. um,
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate movies like Blue Bayou and also The School for Good Mothers. You guys read that? Douche. So awesome. And it's about the full breadth of humanity. That's one of our catchphrases, is characters with the full breadth of humanity. In terms of character development, it's no different than any other. Like just because we're Asian American it's no different. And what we're trying to do is expand the canon of books and film and TV starring people of color so that it normalizes different ways of being. So you can have a character who makes terrible mistakes, character who's really kind of a bad person, and not just what you're talking about, the nerd or the whatever kung fu martial artist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of our mission.
Yeah, I think just to add on, I so agree with everything that's being shared. And on top of that, I feel very, very proud to be Korean. I feel extremely proud of it. And it is a huge part of my identity. I think how I feel about it is that there's no one definition of being Korean. And I think that, like what David just said about adding to the canon to show that it could mean many different things. It's not just this one kind of person, it's not just this one identity, and being proud of it could also look very different for different people. So I think that's also part of character development, of navigating the fact that, you know, I am first and foremost me before I am anything else, but I am also Korean. So it's just like that complicated blending of things that I can never really like separate myself from that part of my identity, and yet I am so much more, and yet it is so big. And so I think it's always just kind of this push and pull, and it just a constant journey of understanding more of what that pride and what that not just pride but sometimes burden too of being from that culture, like what that looks like. So yeah, I think it's quite complicated a lot of the time to navigate all of that.
But it is a real thing that the first trip you took was to go to Vegas to see a BTS show. And so I think
Yes,
that
it
there
was.
is like an innate Koreanness that we
It
can
was
see.
amazing.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah, I think that's really interesting that you're bringing that up too, since your narrative and this kind of like incidental Korean aspect is really interesting, since these high schoolers are like really sought after because they're bringing things that relate to their relationship to Korea, as well as like just the fact that they are like the hottest kids in the school just happen to be the two Korean boys. But yeah, I think it's also interesting, kind of in all of your books, you have these sort of different kind of interracial relationships that are happening, as well as like Korean relationships with how you're dealing with kind of the romantic relationships. And I was just wondering if you wanted to speak about how you're thinking about these kind of how you're budding these romantic storylines, and kind of what goes into thinking about that.
I mean, I wrote one. Frankly in Love was my first book. It's a fake dating book. It's about these two kids whose parents want them to only date Korean Americans. So they pretend to date each other so they can date whoever they want behind their parents' backs. What could possibly go wrong? And it it's a fake dating trope that's really well worn in rom-coms, but then it's also an opportunity to look at race in America uh, from a Korean perspective, especially. Um, and so once I'd looked at it that way, I was like, wow, we can talk a lot about different combinations of relationships and the expectations people have and the expectations society has. And obviously, it was informed a lot by my own childhood and my marriage. Um, and so I could have, it's a long book and it could have been twice as long, but my editor was like, stop.
I mean, David's book is also really funny, right? Because a lot of this stuff is funny. And I know
Race is funny.
I always say this, race is funny. Like sometimes it's hilarious, like the things that we assume about other people. I mean, don't be mean, but like sometimes it's just like, no, we don't really all. Okay, my
The stuff my
mother-in-law.
mom has said.
My mother-in-law, one time, we were in the car. This is before we were married, and there was a song on the radio, and I started dancing, and my mother-in-law was like, "Oh, your people like to dance, don't you?"
Yeah, and I wanted a hole to open up and just take me away
And
and
David,
close back up.
poor David, almost died, and I was just like, "Well, I mean, it's a good song."
And and it's funny. It's
I
it's
mean,
funny. You have to
things,
laugh.
things weren't great at the beginning,
No.
but they're. I mean, I adore her now, like, and she adores me, so that's good. But it's an opportunity. We learned to like love each other and live with things, and we laughed about a lot of things because once you decide that someone's coming from a good place, you can be ignorant. We can fix ignorance, right? We can't fix you're a bad person, right? But a lot of people are just kind of ignorant. And most people aren't bad. I honestly think that most people will do the right thing if they know what the right thing is. And I think that if books can help breed that kind of empathy, where it's hard to hate someone when you spend 400 pages reading about them, right, and getting to know their lives. And so I think one of the things that Frankly Love does so well is, Frank is trying to understand his parents. And in my books, the kids are just trying to understand each other and fall in love. And in that way, we are all participating in it, right? And we can learn something as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, race is a component in everything, and sometimes it's because it's like intergenerational trauma, like different ideals, and I do think race is hilarious, and I think being Korean is really funny,
Isn't it?
because there are, for me, like just like sweeping generalizations that are actually like in practice like so apt, like like Koreans are so emo, but then like kind of demented about it, like not to be ableist, but it goes from like very heated, very aggro, very like just doing the most to like crying very quickly. It doesn't matter what the situation is. And so like, there is a melodrama, I think, to us that is just bananas. And I think it's from a history of repression. I think it is from a history of invasion. I think it is just like all of this baggage that we've like carried with us, because the other thing too is like in the last like 30-40 years we went from having the GDP of like a very small developing nation to now like this global power, and you don't make that kind of like exponential leap without things getting good and festered inside, and so I think that there are some very real sort of things like that, and specifically in romance, like my husband is Swiss and he's white, much to the chagrin of my parents. But like, he comes from a monoculture in kind of the same way that I do. And they also have been invaded a lot and like are impinged a lot. And so like, there are some parallels there that I find just like so stunningly surprising, but like there. I mean, also he's European but lactose intolerant. We're basically twins, like, and there is like little things that I find so interesting. Like if I'm like, cover my ears, mom, to get a divorce and say I would like marry a Korean dude next, like I have expectations, and I think that that's really interesting because like I would definitely expect that we would get along more. So God forbid, like like he's also a Virgo, and I'm like, oh, this is a nightmare. But like, and if I were to date a Korean guy who's like artistic and like literary or something, I'd be like, oh, like clearly we are meant to be. Like there is no like alternative. Like I should practice on a bunch of other dudes before really like honing down into that one. Like and all of that, I'm like, wow, I'm so racist. And yeah, like it's those things are just not something I'm going to solve, but I will definitely write about.
I mean, I will say that I have more in common with David than with anyone I've ever met in my whole life. Right? That includes my family, which is a thing that, I mean, I guess I don't find shocking because we've been married for 20 years. Like, it will be 20 years in September.
Yeah.
But it remains true. Oh, thank you.
We just stayed together.
Right, so race is, I mean, everyone knows this, right? Race is stupid, right? Like, it's just dumb. And it doesn't really mean anything, except for we make meaning of it, right? But it's not really true, you guys. Everybody knows this, right? Okay.
I think in terms of crafting relationships in the stories. So in my debut Made in Korea, I very intentionally wanted a whole Korean American cast of characters. So not just the romantic relationship, but all the main kind of relationships are all Korean American characters. And my reason for that is I wanted to show a lot of different Korean experiences. So kind of what I guess we talked about before. There's no monolith. There's no like one Korean experience and that's all there is. So the main character Valerie, she was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest and just has lived there her whole life. And Wes, the love interest, he is a third culture kid, which means that he was born in Korea but kind of bounced around to a lot of different countries before ending up in America. And yeah, there's just a plethora, a million, billion different experiences, and that's kind of what I wanted to show in those relationships. And that's just one book, but in all of these books, so many different experiences, so many different stories, and so many different pathways to take that are really funny and also sometimes serious.
And that's a surprisingly difficult concept to convey.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
like a weird piece of feedback I got about Super Fake Love Song, which was my fun book because I wrote it in 2020. Whee!
So fun.
And so I was hell bent on getting a laugh, at least 2 laughs on every page. Um, and so this feedback I got was from a reader, and they're like, I really loved your book. It was funny, but I didn't learn a lot about Korean culture. And I was like, I love The Office, but I didn't learn a lot about Anglo-Germanic culture. Like it doesn't. You flip the script. I always flip the script, and if it still makes sense, then it makes sense. But if it doesn't, and it usually doesn't, something else is going on. So the idea of a non-monolithic Korean American diaspora is still a tough concept to sell. And that's why it just takes volume. I think it's more and more books, more and more movies, more and more portrayals of people who are not white.
Right. I mean, and I think one of the things that people always say about books or in movies, any kind of media with white characters, is that it's universal, right? But then books and media with people of color are never seen as universal. It's like it's for a specific audience. No, right? It's for everyone, right? You can learn as much about a book with like a black main character as you can with a white main character. There is a universality to all of this because we're human beings. We have emotions and experiences. My second book is called The Sun is Also a Star. And there are two main characters. One is Jamaican American, one's Korean American. It's absolutely not autobiographical.
And yet, on the movie set, people come up to us and be like, it's such an honor to tell your story.
And literally, people said that. I was like, I made it up, you guys. Like, I did not.
We should have lied and said it's true. It's 100% true.
The book is about like an almost deportation, like the Jamaican families getting deported, and the Korean American boys trying to get her to fall in love with him over the course of 12 hours. It's not true. Not happening.
No,
Or
I
is
was
it?
gonna say.
No, there is always an assumption that if you are not white and you write about someone who looks like you, that there is an autobiographical aspect to it. And that is just like so bananas. And it's the kind of like sort of mental arithmetic or that lens that I don't actually think a lot of people are aware of. Like even like critics at like storied media outlets who have like all of this experience make that sort of like elision in their brains, and it's like so subtle and it's so maddening. And yeah, I think talking about it is really important, and it's also misleading because like most of my books are somewhat autobiographical, but you know what? That's not the point. But yeah, and similarly, the reason, and I guess you can speak to it more, but like another aspect of it is that like our books get adapted. And, historically there's been situations where like your book about an Asian person just like becomes like everyone's white for the big screen because we want to cast all these people and we want it to go, and like the stakes are higher and like the financing people want more like collateral. And so like sometimes writing about characters like this is a bigger sort of Trojan horse experience where it's just like, I do want the net to be cast wide. Like I do have the protagonists in my second book, like they're both mixed, and I'm like, yeah, I want it to be annoying, and like, yeah, I want to threaten being canceled because I didn't like find the right mix from the book, and like I'm being called to task for that. Like I think some of those exercises and those like risks are really important as well. And yeah, you
And
guys,
the optics are super important.
so important.
Like when we saw Amanda Stenberg in Everything, when Penny saw it, when she met her on set, her first words were, "She looks like me," and we cried.
We
Because
cried a
we're like,
lot.
that was the point.
Yeah.
And when Sun is Also a Star came out, suddenly you've got Yara Shahidi and Charles Melton, who are like terrifying to be around.
Ridiculously beautiful
They're
people.
so hard
hot,
to
it's
talk
weird,
to
yeah.
because they're so attractive, and then you have their faces 20 feet tall on a screen. That means a lot. That's extremely validating, and casting wise, we do the best we can. We only have so much control, but Hollywood still has a tough time with like a fully Asian character. They always have to be some kind of mix or something, and that's just how it is in Hollywood right now. So there's a ways to go there. That's why I like getting to blurb John Cho's book was an honor because he's just a Korean dude and he looks like me, like no compromises. And I was like, I've always been following his career. But that's tough for Hollywood to accept. That's why there's so few. It's not that there's no actors. There's plenty of actors.
Yeah, when Made in Korea was being shopped around just for film interest, it was turned down by a major streaming platform because they already had a Asian story.
Oh God.
So
Like, I mean, that stuff is so maddening, and it's so like, I mean, we keep this light, but when you say stuff like that, it drives me just, it's
Yeah,
just
it's
bonkers.
crazy.
Like,
And yeah,
there's so many stories. There's so many stories with white characters that it's the same story. How many times have you seen like these rom-coms that are all the same?
yeah.
Like, we were doing a Bridgerton thing, and someone was like, "Wow, Bridgerton already existed." It's like, you know how many times we've
Yeah.
done Pretty Little Liars, you guys?
Do you know
Over.
how many Batmen there are?
We cannot. I mean,
So
it's
many
crazy
Batmen.
making.
Yeah.
Oh my god, did you watch the second season of Bridgerton?
I haven't
Started
watched it
it.
yet.
So good. It's so good, but it's also so annoying because they keep it Regency and steamy, but like no culmination until the very end. But anyway, it's so good.
Before we
I
break
need
out
more.
into groups, I just wanted to take one question from the audience, if we could, before if anyone has a question for us, for our panel.
We love questions. We really do.
Oh,
don't- oh,
hi.
yeah.
Go for it.
Mike, go ahead. Oh, sorry.
So, love interest stories usually change from the Romeo and Juliet. They usually stem from that. What is going on with that? Why do people continue to use that and evolve it for today's stories?
Oh, the Romeo and Juliet trope. Um,
And it's because like it's better for yearning, right? If they can't be together because of some reason, right, then you're yearning. We're basically just reading, going, "Come on, kiss already, please kiss," right? It's good storytelling. That's why, right?
There's maybe like 4 stories in the world. Like 2 are Shakespeare and like 2 are like usually like religious ancient text based. And those are like essentially all the stories. And then there's just permutations.
yeah, it's not so much the what of the story. Like I like to think about the Matrix, which is one
All
of my
the
favorite movies. Not the Matrix like we're living in the Matrix, but like the movie. And if you pitch it, a lot of things, if you pitch it, it sounds really stupid. Like robots have taken over the world and are harvesting humans for energy. This renegade AI, we've heard that before. But when you see the how of the movie, it's amazing. So it's not so much the what. You can have a really boring what. Um, the Montagues and Capulets are fighting, and these 2 people want to fall in love. That's nothing new. But how Shakespeare does it is phenomenal. So I really do think it's not and that's where the author comes in. Their particular perspective is really important. Their point of view, their personality informs the how of the story and makes it great.
Totally. And also like, my stories are really small. So when people are like, nothing happens, and I'm like, I know. It's because like it's you take the Montagues and the Capulets, you have this like historic like feudal like fight over generations. You can tell that story from the viewpoint of like 2 people who kind of know them but not really, and all they do is just like sit around like making conjecture and having tea, and like that's probably my book. Like I know that it's like my book if like the biggest part of it is like there's like a heated discussion in the kitchen. Like that's my vibe. And so like, it is the author, it is the characters, but it is also the lens. Like you can tell that story from like the munition salesman who's like, no, they can't make up, like quick, and like maybe they weren't even in love, and like it's all optics, and it's like just clickbait just to like get the industry going, like Verona commerce. I don't know, but like there's all these different things that you can do, and that's what's so fun about being a writer.
I kind of want to read that book that you just pitched.
Everything is fake news.
I think also, I guess if there's any writers here, I think sometimes a lot of us feel like, oh, is my idea even original? Like nothing is new under the sun. But I guess I would just, just a word of encouragement too that I tell myself is that no matter how many times the story has been told, no one has told it the way you will tell it. So I think that the idea might feel like it's been done before, but everything's been done before. But no one has done it like you can do it. So I think that that's something I have to remind myself of a lot as well.
And actually, on that point, you will get told that it's been done before, and you will get told that like this isn't right for the person or the publisher or the agent or like whomever, and like it's totally fine. Like it doesn't. You don't need it to like fit into a place that's sort of pre-existing. And I know that that's really scary and terrible, but being a writer is scary and terrible. So like you might as well just fold it into like the indignance of like the rest of it. But like you can find homes for these stories that people are telling you the same thing about.
Thank you. So on that note, I think we're going to split up into two smaller groups. You can continue asking questions to our wonderful authors, hear more about their process, or what it's like to pursue this kind of career. So David and Nicola will have a little section out there. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. So KCCLA, assistants are going to introduce us. Go ahead.
All right, thank you so much for that wonderful conversation. Now we're going, all right. Now we're going to be taking a short 5-minute break before we move on into the second part of our program. The authors are going to be going into 2 different areas. Hi, I'm Lucy, and I'm a volunteer at KYCCLA. And this is Lila, a student who joined our youth-led reading groups. So over the past month, we've been holding reading groups for Frankly in Love. So we're going to be talking with David Yoon over there by the garden. And ASL interpreter pairs are going to be present in each of the groups. And so after the 30-minute discussions, just feel free to enjoy the reception until 1 p.m.
Yeah, we are both part of the Koreatown storytelling program. KSP is a program of KYCC, a nonprofit that has served Koreatown's limited income immigrant population since 1975. KSP promotes intergenerational dialogue among high school students and seniors. So far, we have collected oral histories about the pandemic, the garment industry, elder care, and the 1992 Los Angeles civil unrest. This fall, we will begin our 5th semester on the theme of food. If you're a high school student interested in learning about storytelling, oral history, and community journalism, go to our website, koreatownstorytellingprogram.org, to apply.
Thank you.